Can't wait.
Did we fix the echo?
Yes, it was my problem.
Yep.
It was my fault.
I walked in and it was like, you're
Oh.
Jay, check the microphone. There.
All right, well, thanks for your patience, just running school pickup. So, let's see, it's 5:01 on Thursday, March 26th. I welcome you to call to order the Village of Cottage Grove Parks, Recreation, Forestry Committee meeting. We do have a quorum and the agenda was properly posted. So we can move to item 3, public appearances, public's opportunity to speak about any subject that is not a specific agenda item. Charlie, if you want to. I don't think so. If you just state your name and your address, yeah, and you know the deal with the microphone, so thank you. It is a good effect.
Can't hear.
We're just waiting for the microphone to boot up. I couldn't. Nobody's talking, so we'll just.
So I'm Charlie Rogers. I live 211 West Reynolds Street in Cottage Grove next to Fireman's Park. And first I want to publicly thank Sean for his help in his research and getting me the permission to put the flags up at Fireman's. So we have a new 4x6 American flag and a 3x5 MAI flag. Okay, and it's lighted, so it's legal. So again, thank you, Sean. I'm sure every time he sees my number, he wants to go to lunch or something, so.
Not true.
Okay, and then one thing I wanted to speak on is the season for pickleball. Okay, I support it. I'd really like it to happen. This year has been the weather has cooperated, so we actually didn't have a year-long pickleball event. So I also have a report here on the effects of prolonged pickleball noise, because I'm sure someone out there in the village will want to say it's not fair to have a season. So I'll give this to Heidi or Sean, depending who's going to take the calls. But I encourage a pickleball season. I think Sean suggested November to April, if that's correct.
Yes.
I think that's great. And the other question that is, if they have a 6 a.m. start again and a 10 p.m. close, I think it's reasonable to have a season.
Yeah.
Also, I think Bakken is the only pickleball court that stays open till 10, if I'm correct on that.
You are.
So again, thank you for your time, and I highly encourage a posted season for pickleball.
Since you're a neighbor, can I ask you a question? Do you find the netting that's up kind of keeps the noise down just a little bit?
It does.
Okay.
But the prevailing winds are out of the west. And Chris doesn't have the effect because his garage barn
Gotcha.
is next to his home. And again, it's due north of the pickleball courts. Grady has a little effect, but again, he has the big shed that helps him. We get straight on thwap, thwap, thwap from 6 in the morning. 6 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night sometimes. So I want to not have pickleball, I'd just like to have a reasonable season. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie, and it's not on the specific agenda tonight, but we'll be following up and.
I'll put it on the April one for sure, and then we can have it.
Thank you.
When someone says something.
Yeah,
All right,
appreciate you.
Thank you,
thank you,
Charlie.
Charlie.
You want me to take this?
Sure, that'd be
Do
great.
you want to read it? or
Yeah, I can, let's look at it after.
Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you. Do we have any other members of the public for public appearances? I don't see anyone else online. If not, then we'll move then to item 4, discuss and consider the minutes of the Parks, Recreation, Forestry Committee meeting on February 26, 2026. Any comments or
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
motion by Laufenberg and have a second?
I'll second.
All right, and second from Penny. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carries. Then item 5, discuss mower slope safety policy. We did have a policy attached in your packet, and Sean can go over that. Josh kind of took the lead on, is that?
Yep.
Super.
So, yeah, just a brief overview. We noticed with our new insurance company, CIVMIC, which is Cities and Villages Mutual Insurance Company, one thing that they thought would be appropriate for us is to have a slope policy. We didn't have one, and so we've just kind of been mowing everything or the best that we can. And so we went out and measured our trouble areas, and that's what you kind of see in the packet. And with your permission, I'd like to just kind of go through it a little bit, just so that everybody understands. I'll make this as brief as possible. The policy itself, you guys hopefully have read it, but it talks about what it is, what the purpose is, and what we can do to kind of mitigate some of these problems. Basically, anything over a 15-degree slope is frowned upon with the current equipment that we have. Everything that we have is rated for 15 degrees or less, which is pretty much an industry standard when it comes to just mowers. So we would need to, in order to continue mowing it as we are, we would need a different piece of machinery. Now, we're not saying that that's what we're asking for at this time. We want to kind of just flow through a year like this and see where we're at with and what we can and cannot do. So just kind of moving into the areas that we measured. First one we'll start with is the Bakken Park Retention Pond. So the area right to the north of the pickleball courts. And as you can see, the area in red there is the area that we will no longer be mowing. We don't typically mow the basin of that retention area. That happens maybe once or twice a year. I'd have to confirm that with Public Works. We mow the rim around that, and as you can see, all of that is above 15%. So what we're kind of thinking about there, and as we move on, I'll identify each one of these. But what we want to do is just allow the natural growth along the hillside itself as well as the basin, and that'll get mowed at least once or twice a year, as I mentioned before. But then we're going to just string trim the areas around the inlets and the outlets in that area, so that there isn't anything disturbing the water flow that's supposed to go through there. So that's the first one. The next area is we call it the Rugby Hill on Clark Street. So one of the questions I get a lot is, well, why the heck does the village mow that at all? Well, the Rugby property is really ends at the fence line or just a foot or two beyond that. So the rest of that area in front and then along the western side is actually considered village property. So we mow all of that, and as you can see, and boy, oh boy, I can't even read the numbers on there. Those slopes over there vary between 18 and 24 inches, so it gets rather steep there. And again, in that area, we're going to allow natural growth and string trim plus push mow that area as much as we can. Moving on, dog park. Dog park is challenging. There are some areas that are extremely steep. The most noticeable area is the area that kind of empties out into the big dog park. There's a narrow pathway through there. That can be that's up to 24 inches, or 24 degrees as far as the slope goes. A lot of that area gets beaten down just by walking through there, so we don't really feel like that's gonna be a big issue. We can mow on the areas that we can mow, and then the areas that we don't, we'll either string trim, or allow natural growth there. As we work our way up the hill, you can see that it becomes tougher and tougher to mow that area. So those will absolutely be areas that become more natural. We can look at, down the road, some native plantings and things like that that we can just allow to grow. But as of right now, those two areas that we show that are 16 to 17%, we are gonna kind of try to avoid those areas. Again, dog park area, this shows the very edge of it next, right? So this, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong side. Actually, this is along the eastern side, so right next to the property line. There's a pathway that kind of goes, and you can kind of see it down in this area here. There's a pathway, and people just kind of walk this whole area. It's really tough for us to mow, so again, we're gonna just allow some natural growth there, string trim, and then push mow as needed. Talked about those. Let's see. Where are we at? Excuse me, I'm trying to catch up here. This isn't in order. Oh, Summit Credit Union. So there's a little area there next to Summit. As you can see, that whole green area in that triangle, that is actually village property. And so there's a little area along the northern part of that property that becomes very difficult to mow. Nothing's ever gonna happen there. I think there might be a sign there, or we might have had an opportunity to put a big sign there. I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but, so that'll also be an area, that we're just gonna allow natural growth through that area. Then as we move forward, the fire station, there's a couple of areas. So the way that the fire station and, just the fire station works is every other year, the village mows it, and then the village plows the parking lot at the emergency services, or at the emergency EMS, or what is it called? Emergency? Fire station. Yeah, the fire, let's just call it that, the fire station. So we trade off every other year with mowing that. I believe that the township does have, a mower that can handle that size, but we're gonna have to negotiate with them as to which it's coming into our season to mow that. So that area, I believe, Kevin, you can help with that, is on the eastern side of kind of behind the fire station. Then we have the Fireman's Park seating area. If you've ever been down there, you can realize that that's obviously more than 15%. What we've done, we haven't mowed that. We typically just hand mow that the way that it sits now, so we'll continue with that. We don't really have, we want to keep it down. We put in here allow natural growth, but it'll be sporadic. We'll hit it at least a couple times a year to make sure that it doesn't just become an overgrown mess down there. Lake Ridge Bank. So that is an area that is village property until about a year and a half ago. The bank maintained that for us, and then they said, hey, wait a minute, why are we doing this? It's not our property. So we took over mowing that, which is ours, but it does have a very steep bank getting into that flat area, which makes it really tough for us to get in there at all, because we don't really have even to mow that bottom section, we don't have a great way to get into it. So with that one, we're gonna allow some natural growth and string trim that one. And then the last one is at the, which one is this? The Glacial Drumlin School, the soccer fields, so right by Heidi's house. There's a couple of areas there that are difficult as well. The farther east we get, there's a large area, and then what it shows in the bottom right is really right next to the sidewalk. There's a couple areas there. So we take over mowing for the summer months. So once school's out, we mow that whole area basically from the driveway in north to the property line there. So all of that and that's just something that was agreed upon years ago, and maybe it helps us with them not charging us for facilities, I'm not sure. But that is something that is going to be ours for a long time. So that's kind of the overview of what we're thinking. I just wanted to know if I don't believe this is a policy type of a situation, so I don't, Heidi, you can just report to the village board, but I wanted to know if anybody had any comments on what we're thinking of doing. Again, before I open up to comments, our intention is to do exactly what I talked about as we get into this season and see what that's really like. Excuse me, we may be shifting that, how we're gonna handle each location a little differently. Again, it is not our intention at this time to ask for another piece of equipment. We want to kind of get through an entire growing season and just see how this all shakes out. So, anybody have any comments or questions?
Yeah, I guess I understand not buying a piece of equipment now, but I would definitely budget for one. I know the township, they don't have the mowers you sit on, they have the mowers you stand on. Those are the lower center of gravity. Dual rear wheel kits, I think they have 2 or 3 of them, and then they go out and mow all their steep hills and whatnot. I like that we're looking into this, especially in case someone will get hurt, especially being it's an insurance type thing. People like seeing that retention pond trimmed down at Fireman's Park, but if we could do it like before festival and maybe like once after festival, that would be cool too. But I know that the hill behind the hamburger stand always gets hand trimmed anyway. Those are kind of just my thoughts, but I like what we're doing.
Just have one comment about, of course, the one I care about, the pickleball court at Bakken. It was pretty buggy and mosquito-y last season, and letting that kind of grow and be natural, is that going to just increase that, do you think?
It's likely.
Yeah.
That pond I don't believe is designed to hold water. I think it's designed for it to shed through, so there shouldn't be standing water there. But yeah, if it's wet and we have longer grass, there might be more of a mosquito problem there.
I guess the question I have is, when you get just grass that grows long, but then the problem is when you get a lot of weeds and prickers and things like that, people walking around the dog park, like how do we balance a natural look with like kind of unpleasant, kind of weeds that, could spread to neighboring properties and things like, I don't know. I'm sure you're gonna have neighbors that, not me, I already know that this is happening, but I'm sure to any of the properties that might be wondering, what that change means, I guess, for them, or might not be. But the safety aspect is the thing. Like,
Yeah.
That's, of course, the fallback. We have to do this because we don't have the equipment to handle that, which go back to Kevin's point, like budget for that in the future, but just anticipating that.
And I'm not the end-all be-all when it comes to mowers, but we just purchased a new zero-turn we got it about a month and a half ago. And I think if we were to go, Kevin, maybe you can help with this, if we go with a wider wheelbase or a double wheelbase on the back, we can still use that everywhere, right? I mean, there's no reason for that. So then what I'm thinking is that, unless we need to do it sooner, we kind of wait a little bit until we have to replace that one.
Something you may be able to do and may be able to test out is a dual rear wheel kit on that mower you just bought. If you get a second set of wheels on there, that drastically changes your tippability. So it would stick more to those hills. It scares me at the by the rugby complex on Clark Street, because I've seen those guys slide down that hill. I've seen their tracks.
Yep.
It makes me nervous. I mean, when I go out and I cut grass, I cut all the steep stuff because I know how to mow it up and down. You only do it when it's dry, stuff like that.
Which isn't even legal for us to do, is to mow it up and down. 15 is 15.
Correct.
And,
It is.
You can get away
Yep.
with
But
doing
I would
that.
definitely check with the dealer you just bought that mower from. If you can get a dual rear wheel kit for that, which is pretty minimal, it's just 2 tires, two rims, and some bolts, then maybe you could mow like the area behind the fire station and maybe some of the other areas. But I would definitely try to stay off of the steep stuff. just for safety. And as far as like the dog park, if you're worried about invasive thistles and weeds and stuff like that, you could always spray for them once a year. And then when the grass gets tall, it's going to get about 12 to 18 inches tall and just kind of wane out. So it's not going to get really taller than that. If you do plant natural grass areas, you'd stay away from those, but then the grasses are going to get to be about 3 or 4 feet tall. So whatever you guys choose.
No, and I like that idea of looking at adding 2 more wheels to what we have. It's certainly going to be cheaper than the 40,000 or whatever it is for a new mower. So that's a very attainable, quick goal for us to look at. I mean, we still would likely have to budget for it, but it's much nicer than asking for $35,000 or $40,000 for a new mower. So, yeah, that's great. Anything else? No? Okay. I'll report back later this summer just as to how that's going, and if anybody has anybody hears anything or notices anything, that you please let us know. And I think it's a valid point about getting things mowed down for the festival. Just we want everything to look as good as we can. Even if it's just for that week of timer mowing for that time of year.
So that's something then, we're just discussing it. I'll report up to the village board on that. Other questions, comments on the mower slip safety policy? All right, then we'll keep moving to the Shady Grove Park update.
I don't know if anybody's had a chance to go over there, but they are working. They stripped all the topsoil off, and you can kind of see the outline of where the playground is going to go. So we're really excited about that. They're still on schedule for, as of right now, that the playground would be starting to go in the first week in April. So that's the plan. There really, overall, there really isn't a lot of work that needs to happen there. They've got the trail cut in already on the backside of the playground, so that's there. I stopped in yesterday over in that area, and there was there's a neighborhood family from there that were kind of milling around the playground area, so I stopped and talked to them, and they were really excited about what was to come. So they had some little ones that were, really happy to see the machinery over there and some piles of dirt, and so that'll be coming together really quickly. Again, first week in April roughly is when the playground will go in, and that's what everybody's going to associate this park with anyways, is a playground.
When does it conclude? When will they be done?
Substantial completion by the end of May, and then final completion by June, I believe it's June 15th.
Great, thank you, Sean. Any other questions on the Shady Grove Park update? All right, we'll keep moving. Item 7, Miracle League Playground update.
Things are still progressing well there. We are looking at around the first week of May to start deconstruction of the playground. I have been contacted by at least one village family that I believe they sponsored one of the gnomes, and they were wondering what was going to happen with that, if they could have it. And I said, absolutely, you can have it. So, if anybody out there is looking for any of those pieces, for sure. One thing to note is that in the most current design, and it won't change anymore now, but the tile wall will remain as is. We're going to kind of build around that. The personalized pavers that are there, those will be removed long enough to redo that area. So those pavers will be removed very carefully and then put back. So all of those names that are on the pavers will be included in the new playground as well. So other than that, we're on schedule to get started. Again, deconstruction could take up to a couple weeks, weather permitting, but and then right after that happens, then the ground group will come in and get everything level, and then they'll start building the playground. And that playground itself is going to take, I think they said 8 weeks to build the playground, and then we have to account for about a week for the poured in place to be installed. So yeah, we're still moving along with that.
I was just going to say, this is kind of in that area, but what did we ever do as far as the ADA parking along that curb? Were they gonna cut that curb and everything?
Yes, yep. Ironically, Kyla and I are meeting with the contractor tomorrow to see if we can, if it would be cheaper to do it in-house or whether a contractor would do that. So that is scheduled for, to be, I don't know the exact start date because again, if it's done in-house, it's gonna be a little bit at the discretion of when it works for Public Works. But the overall goal, and everybody knows this, is that Miracle League starts on June 1 is the first game night. So everything needs to be completed by June 1. And the only other part that will really affect them is that on the path that you take from the parking lot directly to the Miracle Field, a section of that path will need to be removed so that we can tie in. There's a drain system underneath the playground so that any water that sits there will be shooed away. So we have to tie into a drain there. So a small section of that will be removed and then replaced. But also, it does understand that we cannot disrupt the Miracle League. So that patch will not affect games at all.
It's kind of weird to have like a groundbreaking because we're already removing stuff. Are they gonna have is the Miracle League talking about any kind of groundbreaking on the playground, or is their big deal kind of first pitch opening day sort of?
I think I don't think they're planning anything for groundbreaking. They might be planning to do more of a grand opening when that happens in September, but nothing planned for groundbreaking.
All right, thanks, Sean. Other questions on Miracle League Playground? All right, then Sean gets to keep talking with his director's report.
Yep. Registrations, we're busy. Our summer camp first session filled within minutes. Waiting list is up to 35 kids. Full summer registration is at 30 to 40 kids. We have a lead instructor, so we're really excited about that. We're working on building a work plan and doing some online training stuff. As well as they take part in the WPRA summer camp training. So that's something that's typically held in somewhere around Milwaukee, and we'll take our staff down there on a Saturday prior to the season starting and just make sure that they've got all the information that they need in order to be able to get through a season of playground camp. Softball registrations are good. Teams first week of April, we'll be creating teams. We got tons of park shelter stuff coming in. And we're communicating project details on social media for the Miracle League. And because again, roughly from that first week of May, we don't start reservations until after Memorial Day, but that first week in May, it's going to be a little bit of a construction, definitely going to be a construction zone down there. So as mentioned before, the rest of the park will be open, splash pad shelter, all of that stuff will be open. There'll be a fence around the playground itself. So we'll have an opportunity to, hopefully people will stay out of there and understand that that's a construction zone. But we should be, it'll be a disruption, absolutely, but one that will be worth it, I hope, in the end. Hiring, most of our summer positions have been filled with the exception of parks maintenance positions. So this year we have only one returning college, for lack of a better term, college kid, so a 500-hour person. So we're looking to hire a minimum of 2 more of those. So if you know any kiddos out there that are looking for a summer job, it's a good job. They get to be outside. They wear shorts except for when they're string trimming, which ends up being a lot of the time anyways. But it's a great job. I started in the park and rec business doing just that, and look at where it got me. So again, if you know of anybody out there that's looking for work, have them contact us because we are definitely hiring. They do need to be 18 for the parks, yeah. Yep. I mean, they do need, but if they're turning 18 sometime within that period, I think we could work with that as well.
Is it Monday through Friday or 7 days? Like, what are you looking for?
It's Monday through Fridays, Monday through Thursday, 7 a to 4 p. And then Friday we do a 7 to 11, so that everybody gets to get out a little bit early on Friday. We do have some weekend things that happen because we do have shelter reservations, obviously. So we have a group that, at least one, that goes around every single Saturday and Sunday and preps the shelters for reservation stuff. But we also, for this year, or started last year, but we are now able to pay those kids overtime, which is an opportunity for them to make a little bit more. So yeah, there is some weekend work. It's not typically more than 2 hours at the absolute worst, unless something really bad happens, and then I'll be here anyways. So yeah, it can be 7 days, but it rarely does it work out that way.
What is the pay?
Starting for I believe this is a Parks Maintenance Tech 1, 15 is where we're starting at.
Plus overtime.
Yeah. And then, good on that, Jay? Okay. And then we, guys have just been starting to work on snow removal damage in parks and along trails, and updating and repairing picnic tables. And then of recent, a little snow removal we had in there as well. So that's good. One other thing I wanted to note too is that we are still interested if anybody wants to donate a dog waste station. Charlie has donated 2 or 3, I can't remember. But John Williams, not President, former President Williams, I don't know, are they still president even if are they like?
Past president?
Past president, yeah. Pointed out that we should most likely put 2 in along the new trail on BB. We don't really have anything along that whole section until we get about to Damascus. No, not Damascus. What's the one before that?
Sandpiper?
Sandpiper. We have, the Girl Scouts did the 2 at Sandpiper there. So at some point, we're gonna put in a couple in that area just to try and give some more opportunities for people to throw dog poop in there.
What is the cost for the donation?
New, they're about $250.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think that is all I have.
Sean, to bounce back, if you need fencing at all for the Bakken Park construction area, feel free to borrow from our orange fence in the shed.
Okay, great. I think they're planning on renting and getting some 6-foot stuff, but yeah, thank you.
Questions for Sean on his report? All right, then item 9, future agenda items. So looks like we should talk about pickleball season.
Yep.
Then we should talk about Shady Grove Park, Miracle League Playground update. Have anything else for us coming? I mean, I know it sounds wild, but capital planning and budget stuff will be not that far away,
No,
but I
that's
don't know about next month, but anybody
Scary.
else have something, or Sean, you have something else coming up for us?
No, that's all I can think of right now, but you are right, we are gonna start thinking about capital planning for next year. Get out and vote.
So anyone else have any other items for next month? All right, if you think of something, let Sean know. Otherwise, we're back 4th Thursday of April.
Yep, so that would be what, Thursday, the 23rd?
April 23rd. And at 5 o'clock. All right, unless there's anything else, all we have left is item 10.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
All
Penny
right,
got me.
got a motion and a second. I'll let Kelly break the tie. That's non-debatable. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Thanks for your time, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Sorry I took that fun away from Kevin. Bye, all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So when do you guys start talking about capital budget?
Maybe.
Yeah, that's when the process kind of starts, but it leaks into what, August before we kind of get through?
Part of capital budget?
What is it?